I got a comment today that reminded me of one of the strangest stories in the entire Bible. And I think the only time I've covered it is when we went through the book of Daniel in my secular Bible study series. But let me read you the comment first. They said, "Sometimes there is a spiritual battle and demons can block answers to prayers." Now, that is unbelievably problematic from this perfect God for so many different reasons. And if you want to understand more of the problems with prayer, see the video that comment was just left on. It's an older video where I respond to Paul Washer on this diatribe he has about how to pray, and it is absolutely ridiculous. I'll have that and the Daniel episode linked in the description of the video down below. Also, while you're down there, check out all the wonderful patrons and YouTube members. I finally got all caught up on that. Your guys' support means everything. It is the only reason that I can continue to spend this much time making these videos. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. It helps out more than ever right now as we're in the middle of a move. And if you've thought about supporting the channel and have not yet, you can also see how to join the Patreon or the YouTube membership down below. But let's get to this story. It's only 3 verses long, so I'm just going to read it. Daniel 10:12 through 14. He said to me, "Do not fear, Daniel, for from the first day that you set your mind to gain understanding and to humble yourself before your God, your words have been heard, and I have come because of your words. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia opposed me 21 days. So Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, and I left him there with the prince of the kingdom of Persia, and have come to help you understand what is to happen to your people at the end of days, for there is a further vision for those days." So you heard it, but just quickly, Daniel says a prayer, and it has been heard. But God, for some reason, even though every believer today thinks he's just going to speak directly to their heart, sends a physical messenger, an angel, which is what angel means, messenger. But he's blocked. The will of God to answer a prayer is blocked. And there's tons of debate about what this Prince of Persia is. Is it Satan? Is it a demon? Is it some human dark figure? Is this in reference to the Antichrist? I've seen every single possibility displayed before. But that doesn't really matter, because it is stories like this where commenters like that get their ammo. It might sound crazy and that they're just making up excuses, and yes, of course they are, but it's not as if they're being unbiblical when they give these insane, extreme excuses. So I thought it would be fun, and we're going to get into just a bit more. This is going to be a really quick episode, but I thought it'd be fun to ask a few questions that I think this story inspires. Question 1. Why does an angel need backup? He had to call in the big dog. He had to call in one of the more serious angels, Michael. And Michael's still back there dealing with the situation. And before you write this off as just Old Testament and strange, and it doesn't matter because after Jesus and the New Covenant and the Holy Spirit dwelling within us, we don't have to rely on these means anymore. Remember that you're talking about A, your immutable God, who never changes, and B, even if you could somehow accept that he has changed and the system has changed and the way that he communicates has changed, then why would you still make excuses like this? And also, why was he ever so ineffective in the past? Whichever way you want to go to make an excuse for this, it just creates a new problem on the other side. Why can God not give a direct answer the way that you believe you hear from him now? And if God can give a direct answer, and that's how you think he communicates now, then again, you cannot make this kind of excuse. But it isn't fringe. You will hear Christians all the time who fast so that their prayers can get through the spiritual warfare and reach God, who pray constantly, who pray hard, who pray in groups, who go to prayer nights, who do all of these different things to try to get the attention of their God and again to break through the enemy that is stealing these prayers out of the sky. But if we're just using this verse as the example of what goes wrong, it's even more interesting because it says that his prayer was heard immediately. God just couldn't get him the answer for 3 weeks. Because of this, for the sake of the example, we'll say the Prince of Persia was some kind of demon. Why are these messengers of God who have literally one job so vulnerable? Why is God's omnipresence and omnipotence so limited? You know me, all I ever want is for Christians to be consistent. And they think they have some good excuse that they can offer to why sometimes God doesn't answer prayers, even when they're in his will, even when 2 or 3 are gathered, even when he says, ask and receive. And they come up with spiritual warfare and it just shoots themselves in the foot. So question 2, are demons stronger than the will of God? Really think about that. From the story in the Bible, we know that God wanted to give Daniel this answer. It was heard, and he desires for him to have this knowledge. What would have happened if the angel that was trying to deliver the message wasn't smart enough to call on Michael? What if Michael was busy dealing with another situation? Could God's plan have failed? Is God's plan to communicate not already failed, even if it's simply delayed? Does this not count against his perfection? Who's in charge here? What exactly are demons capable of? Can they oppose God? Can they delay God? Is that not the same thing? It seems as if they can actually prevent God from acting. That's why, again, the story is so crazy. When we think about spiritual warfare, we think about how it affects us, the lowly, vulnerable, sinful human. But this is spiritual warfare that's getting in God's way despite God's plan and God's will. And my last question on the story, I think, is one of the most important to consider. Why don't we see this today? In Daniel, the angel explains to Daniel, as sure as I'm explaining this to you now, what happened. Hey man, listen, 21 days, that was a long time. Trust me, I wanted to get here sooner. Let's get you this answer, buddy, but I'm going to tell you why it took so long. Despite the delayed message, that's actually like the most clear communication one could ever get from God. They're getting an excuse of why God didn't answer immediately, something that Christians have been making up for thousands of years since. Daniel doesn't have to guess. He doesn't have to be like this commenter who heard, I think, a pretty good argument from me in that prayer video and was like, you're not considering that angels sometimes block it. You're right, I'm not considering that. Because no angel has ever said that to anyone ever except supposedly in this story. But of course, like most things in the Bible, that's just not how things work today. We get no angel, we get no excuse, we get no message, no answer, no evidence at all. Just made up excuses based off old Bible stories. Just, my prayer wasn't answered, therefore spiritual warfare, because that's how important my request to the creator of the universe was. Really, he wants to answer me. If he didn't, it's because he couldn't. That's a huge leap. So let's leave the story behind for a second here and focus on just 1 or 2 more things, and we're going to close out. Again, I was more excited just to introduce this story to you if you hadn't heard it and talk about some of the logical consistency problems that this clearly brings to us. But another good question is, how do you know? This is something we should ask in every single episode. I apologize. We should be starting with this all the time. Suppose you pray for healing and nothing happens. How do you determine which explanation, excuse, is correct? Did God say no? Did God say wait? Did you just lack faith? Do you have secret sin getting in the way? Was it not God's will for you to get better? Or did a demon get in the way? Legitimately, if you're a Christian listening to this, ask yourself, how would you know? Because we're already talking about you not getting an answer to prayer. But then you're going to what? Tell me that God revealed to you what his lack of an answer actually was? That's more of an answer than the thing you initially asked for. That doesn't make any sense. Did your brain just give you the excuse that most aligns with whichever excuse you read in scripture most recently? Or maybe somebody suggested to you why you haven't been healed. God's actually got big plans for you. Listen, he doesn't always act in our time frame. He's going to use this. You have to trust him. Don't lose your faith. How dare you doubt? And so you go that way. Or you get that condemning pastor or Bible study leader or partner, whoever in your life, and they say, I don't know, according to the scriptures, sickness is often a result of sin. Not always, which again, how would you know? How would you determine? But it doesn't stop that person from highly suggesting that maybe you ought to take a look at your own life. Do you have some unforgiveness going on? Oh, you prayed, but I don't know. Do you think you were sincere? Did you expect God to do it? Did you have enough faith? And then on the other hand, someone else can say, What, you just think God is going to heal you just because you asked? Did you approach him humbly? Did you ask if it was his will? It is just unbelievable if you can really, like I have been able to, because of getting out of this, zoom out and see all of the different ways that things like this are handled and how unbelievably contradictory in nature they all are to each other. So how would you know? What method allows you to distinguish what is actually going on? And there's another option. There is no God, or it's not this God. So there's no one there to answer you. And out of all the options we listed, that's actually the most likely, because the rest, in some capacity, disqualify other claims about your God and prayer that are found in the Bible. You simply cannot demonstrate to me any reliable way of knowing what the hell is going on. So comments like this are nothing more than a superstitious guess based in ancient writing that has absolutely no support for its validity either. But I'm not trying to mock you. I get why you want an answer. I understand the psychology of what's going on. I've been a believer. I was for 30 years. I know how I made sense of every single unanswered prayer. I remember thanking God for unanswered prayer. What a twisted thing that was. But that's religion for you. It's a cope. It is so much more emotionally satisfying and easy, even in the midst of something horrible. You've lost your job, someone gets sick, some grand plan didn't work out, and you've been praying about it. You thought you were hearing from God about it. Others have been interceding for you about it, and you just can't understand. And of course, most believers are afraid to doubt. They're afraid to question God, to question what they've been told and what they've read in the Bible. And so they fill the gap in one of the many ways, and many more than that I've already talked about. An unseen spiritual battle feels way better than coming to terms with the fact that maybe no one's listening at all. So it's understandable why you would do this, but it doesn't make it true. It doesn't make any of this real. The reason I want to talk about this kind of stuff on a channel where my goal is to help with those doubting and deconstructing is to alleviate you of what you are doing to yourself. You already have something bad going on in your life that you have cried out like you were told to, for help, for guidance, for wisdom, for whatever. And now you're dealing with the lack of an answer there, and then the shame and the guilt for whatever you did to screw it up, when the most clear and available and obvious answer is right in front of you: reality. And reality isn't a perfect God that wants to answer your prayers and heard it on day one, but took 3 weeks to get to you because his spiritual enemy that he created and gave power to got in the way. I still hope to have a good Sunday video for you, so until then, keep thinking. I wanted to personally thank my top tiers of support: my Iconoclast, Ann, Chris, Greysteel, Jimmy, Joe, Kitboga, Lori, Matthew, and Perry; my Humanist heroes, Chris, James, Jarrod, and Kristi; my Atheist advocates, Aquitar, Caleb, Dakota, Dan, Jeff, Jeffrey, Jugs, Julie, Paul, Rege, Sparky, and Thomas; as well as all of my secular scholar patrons and Mindshifter members. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. It means more than you know.